to watch my video. So in this video, I will just speak about the work or the tools, but we just speak about the tools that we use in mechanical vibration, which is in the work of mechanical diagnostic. So the topic that I will choose to speak in this video is about sensors. By what type of sensors, how many types of sensors, what is their function. Okay, so we used to speak for only 3 topics, right? Okay, three topics, main topic, which is what I said for a minute ago, like what type of sensors, what is the function, and also what are sensors, like for each type of sensor that I used to speak today. Like there will be 4 types of sensor, but there will be 2 for main sensor and the adding sensor for 2 more. And it can do 5 functions, but there will be only 1 sensor which has 2 functions. I say these 2 functions because it doesn't measure 2 value or 2 informations in one time, but you get 1 value and you can indicate for next value. So we don't waste our time, so let's go on. Sensor. Okay, so sensor is the instrument that we use to measure, like in this work, which is the machinery diagnostic. We used to measure how does the machine vibrates. Does it too hot, or does it too low, or does it not work? So when we can work about this machinery diagnostic, we need sensors to like measure all of the information which are come up the machine. But here it is the model of the machine, which called the rotor kit. This is a video that I have drawn a 3D model of the rotor kit, so I'll just put it on next to it. So we're not gonna waste our time. So here is the displacement sensor. So displacement sensor, we just measure the value of the axle, which is in the model of the rotor kit. Don't mind the wrong model. This is just a model. So when we work, we compare with the real one, which is the more larger, like 100 times, 10 times larger than this. So this is just a model. So the displacement sensor we use to measure like how does the mechanical vibrates. So it is the only one sensor which is non-contact. So we just put it on here. As you see, there's a red here. The red one, you see these 2 data point are the part that we put on the displacement sensor. It is different from the other because it just measures the information, it gets the information, but it shows up in unit of displacement. Right, so I hope everyone understands about this. So here it measures the value that how this mechanic or the axle vibrates. So it measures on the axle. So it is quite advantageous because first reason, it is non-contact. Means that when the mechanical vibrates too hard, or like there's other factor make the axle or the machine like makes it vibrates really hard, so it cannot affect to the displacement sensor because it doesn't contact. It doesn't touch with the axle or the machine. So it is more safer than the acceleration sensor, or you can call it accelerator. But it is also advantageous too, because when there's something like rub on the axle or rub on the part that they still like measure, or they still get the information, so the information will not be accurate because it is a sharp sensor, so it is more sensible than other. That's why, like, when there's something on the axle or on the part that the sensor like get the information from it. So the information from the stable or the like or the information is be like normal or it's still stable, it will become unstable information. Okay, so when this sensor get the information, here we need the amplifier. So the amplifier is will be like expand the sensor, expand what is come from the sensor, right? It expand and also process the sign from the sensor. So this is also one of the important part. And on this rotor kit we got here is also the amplifier. So inside will be like this. I will be taking photo later. So let's go to the next sensor. So next sensor is the acceleration sensor. As you see, this is the black cable, which is the acceleration sensor. So acceleration sensor, or you can call it accelerator as what I say. So as you see here, this is the bearing. We got two bearings on this rotor kit, and we put on one for each sensor, one sensor for each bearing, which is the accelerator sensor. So we just put it on. So this one is the contact sensor, which is really different. It's quite different from the displacement sensor, which is it contact or it touch with the part that it get the waves from the vibration of the machine. So the bearing touch the axle, and when the axle move, it gives the value when it's moved to the sensor, the acceleration sensor, and it measure it in the unit of the acceleration. But this one is quite different from other because it get two values from just measure one time. So you measure one time, you get the acceleration sensor, the acceleration value, and if you indicate, you use the process of indication to make it into the velocity. So you indicate that value, which is the acceleration value, by indicate into the velocity value. So you get two values from this one. So this is quite really good function, but there will be one sensor that you don't have to indicate a value, but this sensor will be quite big, which is the sensor that you use for measure the velocity of the machine. So it's quite larger than the acceleration sensor. So we're not gonna find mostly use. So not really much people are gonna use it. Okay, so now we go on for two sensors already. And oh, forgot, this sensor also need to use the amplifier to like process and expand the value, like the sign from the sensor that get from the mechanical vibration. But also forgot to say about the advantage and disadvantage about the sensor. So this sensor is advantage because like it hits on the bearing, and also like when it's hit on the bearing, it get the information from the bearing, which is like really close to you understand it, which is you get the information closely, so they'll get this information about it. So it is disadvantage because you know what, when the machine have a problem, it's vibrate. When it's vibrate, it vibrates not normal, and some machine vibrates hard, or some machine it doesn't vibrate or vibrate too low, right? So if the machine vibrates too hard, the sensor will get effect from those vibration. If it gets vibrate too much, then sensor might be broke. It might be broke and you cannot use, so you're gonna put it into trash. it becomes a trash when you can't use. So these two sensors are use the emissions of electromagnetic waves. Not electromagnetic. It's the emissions of magnetic. Like it is electromagnetic. It is already correct. Okay, so we're not gonna waste time anymore. Oh, forgot one thing also. This is the displacement sensor. It is on the it stays close to the motor, and also you see this part. There's just a port inside, so this can measure like 1 round for the displacement value. So there's a port on each point of this motor. So when it's like rotate for 1 round, it counts 1 round when the sensor hits inside the port that we had already made it before. Okay, so this is also the one function of the displacement sensor. Okay, so let's go to the next sensor, which is the microphone. This is the microphone sensor. So how are we gonna use about it? So this sensor we can use to listen how does the machine vibrate. Like in the past they don't have this sensor. We doesn't have this sensor in the past. So we just use like something to like doing this with your ear, then just listen to the machine. And also, as you know, humans listen by their ears. If not the one who's really good at this, at listening the mechanical vibration, the value that they get, it won't be accurate. But now we have this sensor, the microphone. So we just put it on here, anywhere that we want to hear the sound of its vibration. So just put it on here, or anywhere they want to listen which part that what is their sound after they vibrate. So it's quite better than before, that they need humans for someone who really good at listen to mechanical vibration to like listen. So this sensor also due to the here, this is the rubbing field. So just add, this is not a sensor, but it is a tool which is on the rotor kit. The rubbing field, you use the rubbing field when you want to like test this rotor kit, that when the real machines get hit by something or there's something rubbed with it, what would the sound will be and what the sensor will be like. So if I just put it more inner, more close to the axle, then I'm just measure by use the displacement sensor or the accelerator to measure their vibration into graph. Then what would the graph be? And if I put the microphone on this part, which is the part that stays closer to the rubbing screw part, so this will be like, so I can hear more sound that come from the machines or the rotor kit, that when it's rotate or when it's move and hit with something, what would the sound be and what the graph will be. So you can use this to compare in the real work, but it's not really similar, but you can know just a basic, right? Okay, let's go to the next sensor. So can I just summarize for those three that I'm just saying for a minute ago? Okay, so this is the sensor. There will be 3 sensors, which is the displacement sensor, the accelerator, or you can call acceleration sensor, and microphone. These are all 3 that I had already speak for now. So the displacement sensor, the accelerator, the microphone. So like these three sensors are the sensor that you found the most used in offshore or manufacturing or in the work that they used to work about the mechanical vibration or the mechanical diagnostic. So displacement, acceleration, and microphone sensor, there will be many people use of it in this model, right? In the model, we use this sensor like the displacement, the accelerator, and microphone to listen for some times. But as I said, we got the main sensors, which are the displacement and the accelerator sensor. But the microphone sensor and the last one that I will use to speak, which is the pressure sensor. It is the dynamic pressure sensor, which is the adding sensor, or you can call it the secondary sensor, and these two are the primary sensor. But the dynamic pressure sensor you just use when you want to measure the pressure inside of the machine when it gets covered with something, right? After you cover it with something on your machine, there will be pressure inside. So like the gas turbine, so you have to condense it later, and they will let the gas flow through the turbine, right? The gas turbine. So you need the dynamic pressure sensor to like measure the pressure, to look the information, to get the information of the pressure inside the machine after there's a vibration inside, and you also need something to cover it, right? Okay, so these are all sensors that I'm used to speak today. So let me summarize this again. So there will be 4 types of sensor, and there will be 5 functions of sensor, which are the types. The types are the displacement sensor, acceleration sensor, or you call it accelerator, the microphone, and also the last one, there will be the dynamic pressure sensor. So displacement, measure value and make it and show it into the unit of displacement by also need to expand and like process the sign from the sensor into the graph. But we need to use the amplifier. Also, we use the amplifier with the accelerator, or acceleration sensor. The acceleration sensor, you measure the value and it comes into the unit of the acceleration. So to make it into velocity, you indicate it. Use the process of indication to make it into the velocity value. And we got microphone. Microphone we use to listen how does the machine vibrates and what sound does it come off after the machine vibrates. And we got the last one, which is the dynamic pressure sensor, which is will be measure the pressure inside of the machine after it gets covered. Okay, so these are all sensors that I'm used to speak today. So thanks for watching my video. Have a nice day.